Hi everybody, and welcome to Rant. I'm Nia. This episode is a little bit on the serious side, and it's more of a light rant versus just me going off on something. Little disclaimer, I may use some language because it's like the only word that fits perfectly. So, just heads up on that one. Also, I just want to say that what you hear in this video, it's my opinions. So it's just want to, there may little parts in this video that I express my opinions, and I may get a little bit heated on it. So, just thought I'll let that be said, so don't want anybody to come after me because I'm expressing my opinions. Let's see here. So this episode is about a missing boy. One of the most famous missing boys in history. One of the he didn't become famous because he wanted to. He became famous because he was missing, or well known, not really famous, I guess. But anyway, so the only reason why I'm doing this video now is because on July 27th, which is Saturday, I believe, and it marks the 38th anniversary of this event, I guess I'll say for now. July 27th, 1981. I'm not talking about the Lindbergh. That's I'm not going to talk about the Lindbergh baby. So it's not that one. So what boy kind of became well known in 1981? Hollywood, Florida, 1981. A boy, a 6-year-old boy. He would have turned 7 that November, but anyway, Adam Walsh. This is Adam Walsh. This is for Adam. I've always had a special place in my heart for Adam, and it's kind of weird how I moved to Florida in July of '82, like almost exactly a year after what happened to him. So anyway, Adam Walsh. He was born in November of 1974 on the 14th day of November. Well, he woke up on that July morning in 1981 like any other day, I bet. He had no clue, no idea what was going to happen to him that day. And neither did his parents, because, his dad, you may know him, he's John Walsh. He went off to his job. I think he worked for a hotel business or something. So, and then he was with his mom that day, just running errands and doing some shopping, stuff that she had to take care of. That's what parents do. When you're a little kid, you have to just go with the parent, whether you want to be there or not. I've been there. So they went to a Sears because she saw an ad in the paper. A lamp was on sale she was interested in, so she went there to look for a lamp. Well, they walked into that Sears, and there was a new display, a display of a new gaming system. And there were boys playing around with it. So he wanted to stay there and watch and maybe have his turn. And the lamps were just a few aisles away. So she left him there. So while she is off a few miles down trying to look for that lamp, which they didn't have, they were out, he was there watching the boys play and have a little scuffle, whatever, and you know, he wanted his chance to play the brand new Atari 2600. He comes, she finds out that the lamp, you know, they're out, so she goes back to collect Adam so they can leave, go home, do whatever else that needs to be done. And he's not there. And she doesn't know where he is, so she walked around the store looking for him, calling his name. There's something that I just learned, you know, kind of doing a little bit of research on this video, that I think she ran into her mother-in-law, John Walsh's mom, but that's didn't see that before, so I don't know if that's true or not. But she had help looking for Adam all over the store. You know, I talked to the security guards, and they said that, you know, there were kids there. They were being rowdy. They kicked them out. So so it was a while before she actually called John and said, "Hey, Adam's gone. I can't find him." So the search begins of Adam Walsh. And, you know, they searched everywhere. They even questioned the, you know, the management and the security guards. And, you know, they said, yeah, there was a group of kids, you know, that were kind of being rowdy. And they went over there and told them they needed to quiet down or else they would have to leave. And so they quieted down for a little bit. They got rowdy again. They were pretty much kicked out of the store. And then, yeah, that's when the security guard said, yeah, well, I thought, you know, that little boy was with the other boys, so that put Adam outside. So now they know that he left the building, left Sears, and now they just gotta find him out there somewhere. So, you know, they had tons of people, you know, looking for Adam. My stepmother was one of them, since she lived down there in Hollywood. So she helped to search for Adam. And, you know, night fell. They decided, John and his wife, Reve, I believe is how you pronounce her name, decided, you know, let's leave some toys, I think some food and drinks there, at the car, just in case if he does come back, he can get in the car and rest and eat and do whatever. So the next morning, you know, they come back, check the car, nothing was touched. You know, and the search continues. And of course, you know, 1981, it was different than, you know, looking for kids. You know, I guess they you had to make your own flyers. They even the Walshes went to the local TV station, and I think radio stations too, and they said, you know, they're not going to say on TV or on radio that a missing, well, at least I know on TV they didn't. So whatever that local TV station is down there, they said, no, we can't give you like a special privilege, say, you know, do a little segment on the missing Adam Walsh, when there's other missing kids, and they didn't do the same thing for them. I get their point. But at the same time, there's a missing kid. So they end up actually having to go up to New York, and then I think they went to Good Morning America, one of those morning shows up in New York. I think it's GMA. It's been around for a while, and so they went, instead of locally, the local TV station didn't help. They went to the one that's the national, where people go watch, you know, Good Morning America all over America. And this was like 2 weeks later, I believe, after Adam had been missing. And so right after they did their little segment on that morning show in New York City, in the hotel room, that is when they got the call that the boy's head was found. Let's see here, 130 miles away from Hollywood. And severed head 2 weeks later was found in a by 2 fishermen. So they ID'd the head, through dental records, I believe. Yeah, through the dental records. And it was Adam. The rest of his body, to this day, has never been found. So only his head was recovered. Now, let's see here. Actually, it tells you. I wrote down exactly where the head was. If you want to go, if you're like going on a road trip, it's alongside Highway 60 and Yeehaw Junction. The autopsy, though, of the head, its cause of death was asphyxiation. So he died by that, and then he was, yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's, I really hate what happened to Adam. You can look online and you can see the famous picture of him thinking his red ball cap and his bat, his little baseball picture. And he was a cute boy. And, I just thought, why would someone just hurt a child? That's just beyond me. Whether it's Adam Walsh in 81 or those who have turned up missing from then to now. So it's just, why? I think some kids, today's kids, the kidnappers will probably just drop them off like, we changed our mind. We don't want you. Anyway, there was a movie in 1983 called Adam. And there was another one, the continuation story of Adam in 1986. Adam, his song continues. So I remember watching the 83, there's Adam. I don't really recall or remember the sequel. But you can watch them both on YouTube. So, if you want to watch a TV movie from 83 and 1986, go to YouTube. Adam. And Adam, his song continues. Starring both those movies, Daniel J. Travanti, he's from Hill Street Blues, just in case if you didn't know, and Jo Beth Williams, who was the mother in Poltergeist, the 1982 Poltergeist. So, those were the parents who played John and Reve. Yeah. Anyway, I have a book that I meant to get out for this video, but it's right here, so I want to get it real quick. Got it. I watched this like true crime show called Missing, or The Missing, and the last episode of at least season 1, I don't know if there's other seasons, but at least of the season 1, they taught, it was about Adam Walsh, and this is pretty much most of my information is coming from that episode that I barely remember. No. But it's a book that was they talked to a Detective Sergeant Joe Matthews, who was part of the investigation from 1981, and then he worked with John Walsh on America's Most Wanted. So Sergeant Matthews, I'll call him Sergeant, Mr. Matthews, whatever you want to call him, Matthews. He was actually the polygrapher. Let's see if I said that right. Yeah. From Miami in 1981, they called a polygrapher. The Hollywood police did. So he came up and actually did the polygraph of John and Reve Walsh in 1981, and they had a house guest, and they did the polygraph of him. And they're try to see if they were involved in the missing, or the abduction, or the kidnapping, or of Adam's disappearance. So, but he didn't really need the equipment because Joe Matthews, he was, he can just read people. He was just that good that he can just read people and tell whether they were involved or not. So, I'm not going to say some names because they know who they are. But I think the chief of police at the Hollywood Police Department, which by the way was located, I don't know if it still is, but was located like right across the street from Sears, from that Hollywood Mall, right across the street. Because I looked it up on Google Maps. I'm like, wait a minute. Because I think it's still there. So, right across the street. It just, yeah, anyway. Yeah, but that chief, I guess, or captain, whatever, the head of police, I guess chief, I'll call him, he wanted that case, like, solved, like, now, like, yesterday. You know, he wanted to pinpoint someone, and whether they did it or not. And that was sad. Because he told, you know, Joe Matthews, look, the house guys did it, pinpoint on him. You know, he tried to get Matthews to say that house guest of the Walshes, that he was one that was responsible for the disappearance of Adam Walsh. And Joe Matthews like, no, he had nothing to do with it. He was innocent. Because he wasn't going to play that game. He wasn't going to try to pin a crime on an innocent person. So, that right there, I mean, I don't know how far I'm in this book, but I got so mad that I had to put it down. And you'll understand why in a little bit. Yeah, I'm like just less than like halfway. I'm like right here on this page. I'm like, anyway, I got so mad I had to put it down, and it's been a few years, so I haven't read it. I read it like a page or two since then. It's just, I just the cops. I wanted to strangle the cops because the police. This right here is the rant. The Hollywood police, they didn't do the job back in 1981. They were so incompetent. I want to kick their butts, their asses. This is the word I want to use. But they just, you know, this is what the case is. The police and the incompetence of the police. They even. I'm about to jump ahead. Anyway. In 1983, there was a picture of Otis Toole in the paper in 1983. And a girl who was 13 at the time saw the picture of this man, and she flipped out. She told her mother, "Mom, this is the guy that tried to take me 2 years ago in 1981 in Hollywood, Florida, just miles away from Sears at a Kmart." He was at Kmart, just wherever that Kmart was, closest to Sears, just minutes away, like 10 minutes away, less, I don't know, whatever, just close by. They were shopping. She saw Otis Toole. He kind of creeped her out. She ran back to her mom. He kind of told her about it. See, she was 11, so she knew a little bit better. She was a little bit older, so she knew, see a creepy guy, or, you know, stranger danger, don't talk to strangers, whatever. So she knew. John expresses, hopefully I won't get in trouble, this is just what I hear he said, that they taught Adam to respect the the elders, or, respect the adults. Do as you're told. So he did what he was told. He left the building with the other kids. Store. Which put him in opportunity, put him outside to be kidnapped. But anyway, so in 1983, when this mother actually has this newspaper with this picture of this guy that freaked her daughter out 2 years ago in 1981, so she called the cops, she called the police, told them about, the story. Hey, this guy in this newspaper, my daughter said this is the guy that tried to kidnap her 2 years ago in 1981 at a Kmart, and he could be linked, maybe he kidnapped Adam. You know, so, you know, they jotted down the stuff and just put it aside. And it was never looked at again. To me, give it to a detective, and the detective go to their house for a first call. Hey, can we set up an appointment for you to come to us, or we will go to you so we can, you know, talk to your daughter, get more information. And of course, you're there. I'm not quite sure when the minor parent has to be there. Do a little more investigation, get more info. You think? Yeah, they didn't do that. And then in 1991, 10 years after the fact, a guy calls and says, hey, I witnessed a little boy being, you know, forced into a car at the Sears on that day in 81. 10 years later, once again, they jotted it down and put it to the side and didn't follow up on the lead. That's 2 leads right there they didn't follow up on that I know of. That so far that it explains in this book and on that show. That they just... Anyway. But in 1983, when Honest Tool was arrested, that's why he was in the paper, he was arrested and convicted of killing this guy, burning down this house, I think in Jacksonville, Florida. So he was in prison for murder. Anyway. And in 1983, when Honest Tool was in prison and talking to detectives, he confessed. I'm sorry that I heard that boy. He said that like twice before the cops he kept saying, sorry for hurting that boy and I didn't mean to kill him or whatever. And the first time, the cops blew him off. Detectives did. Hello. And then it's like after the second time they're like, okay, well, then they start asking questions, what boy and what are you talking about? Now, Honest Tool had a low IQ, but still, you can watch documentaries on him on YouTube and stuff. They yeah. Anyway, I wrote down a little timeline before I move forward. So, July 27th, Adam disappears. We know that. And it says July 29th. The Walshes, they contacted a psychic. Maybe, a psychic could help them, locate Adam. And August 10th of 81, that is when the fishermen, they find the head, Adam's head. August 12th, the Walshes, they put up a reward, $100,000 reward for info, leading to arrest or whatever, just information to find Adam. August 15th, an empty casket funeral for Adam. August 19th, that is when the Adam Walsh Outreach Center for Missing Children was established. And then August 27th, so exactly 1 month later, in 1981, the police scaled back the investigation to only 3 detectives. So I guess they had a lot more, but they scaled it back after 3 weeks. After, they found the head, so now we know it's a murder. October 6th is the Walshes testified before Congress on behalf of the Missing Children Act, which passed a year later in 1982. So, Ronald Reagan signed off on it. In 1983, that's when the movie came out of Adam, the TV movie, and also the Walshes sues Sears, but drops a lawsuit 4 months later. I guess they thought it just wasn't worth their time, money, suing Sears. And if you want to know why would they sue Sears, well, yeah. Anyway, Otis Toole confesses to Adam's murder in 1983, but of course, through the years from 83 to like 96 when he died, he confessed to killing Adam. Then he recanted his confession. He confessed again. Then he recanted. He confessed. He recanted. You see a pattern here? So, anyway, in 1988, that it was when America's Most Wanted debuts on the Fox network. That's how I know John. Not personally. 1991, there was suspected. Let's see here. 1991, another person of interest came about because this individual was also in Hollywood, Florida at the same time, or in 1981, July of 81, at the time that Adam disappeared. So he was the interest of the police. And that would be Jeffrey Dahmer. He was questioned about Adam, but of course, he denied any involvement. The only thing that I can say that kind of matches Dahmer's MO is the decapitation. Mainly, Dahmer went for like boys and men. I mean, he went to like late teens and on. I think the youngest victim of his was 14, I think. So him going after a young kid, it doesn't really fit. So, and I think asphyxiation was part of his MO too, but also, it's just, I don't know, it's just, even John Walsh kind of, he says, Jeffrey Dahmer didn't do it. Otis Toole did it. He knew almost that that was the guy that killed his son, Otis Toole. In 1994, 13 years later, new detective takes over and finds crucial evidence has been lost. Okay. Yeah, 94. Okay, so let's see. In 1995, I believe, no, 96. 25 years after the murder, the kidnapping and the murder of Adam Revay, Adam's mom, John's wife, she had a meeting with Joe Matthews. As I said, he worked with John on America's Most Wanted. He actually was, or is, or well, was, because the show's not on anymore, but he has the ability to solve cold cases. He had a high number of cold cases solved. So, well, she had a meeting with him. And it was her meeting. John was there too, but this was Revay's meeting with him. And she pretty much said, I want to know what happened to my baby. Will you please, investigate? Please tell me, what happened to my boy. I want to know what happened to my baby. So, yeah. He spent the next 2 years. No, wait. That was in 2006. 2006 is when she had the meeting, not 90s. So 25 years anyway. 25 years later. 2006. So he spent 2 years investigating. He went to the Hollywood Police Department, where he first began, actually in 1981. And they actually, the police there, they said, here, they gave them everything they had. Everything that they had. So, he looked at all the stuff and read everything and blah, blah, blah. So, but then he came across this notation of photos. He looked at, there's some photos of Otis Toole's car from 1983. And almost 100 photos. So, he called up whoever is in charge of the evidence so he can actually go and look at the photos. So, he's on the phone with her, and she says something in the effect of, in the 27 years, because by this time it's 27 years, 2008, it's like, in the 27 years, no one has ever looked at these photos. They had almost 100 pictures taken of Otis Toole's white, like 70s Cadillac. And you know what? If they looked at those photos back in 1983 when they took them, Adam Walsh's case could have been solved by then. Or maybe 84, depending on how fast and slow they are, you know, on that part. But still, instead of waiting 27 years to solve the case, it could have been solved in just in a few years, before like in 84, as I say, 83, 84. It could have been solved just a few years later. I think just a few years, instead of 27. Because the pictures he saw in that car was evidence of of Adam. I mean, he tried to track down the car itself in 2008, and he just couldn't do it, or if he did, it was stripped so bad that it just wasn't worth looking at. So, it was something like that. But yeah, these, which, you know, you can look it up online too. Well, there's pictures in here. And, you know, they had pictures of Sears and of Adam, of course, and of Otis, who's, you know, but, you know, even back then, they still used luminol in the early 80s. And so they sprayed the heck out of the car, luminol, and see if there was blood splatter in that Cadillac. And boy, that car lit up like a Christmas tree, man. Not just a Christmas tree, whole house. You know, you see all these houses full of Christmas lights during the Christmas time. I mean, like, really, like, how about Christmas Vacation house? Boom, boom, it glowed. Whole car, boom, trunk. And the picture that he saw that was right in the floorboard behind the driver's seat, right there, that was all the evidence they really needed, besides the outline of like a machete in the trunk that was dripping blood. This is what was found in the back, in the floorboard of the driver's seat of the the 70s white Cadillac that Otis Toole drove. So, and tell me, do you see a boy's face? Because right there, people, that's Adam Walsh. That's his head. It's his face. John and Reve saw that, and they knew that's, you know, like, that's our boy. It's a boy's face. You know, bloody. It's obviously dripping blood, and just had an imprint, blood imprint. That right there is just like, oh my gosh. That really got him. About Joe Matthews, you know, when, as I say, the police, they didn't do their job. You know, in 83, when that parent called about Otis Toole, they could have followed up. That could have solved the case back then. You know, oh, that's just. So, what Matthews did was he got all his work collected, kind of made a case. He went to a judge, even though this was in 2008, 12 years after Otis Toole died in prison. He presented a case against him, against Otis Toole, and the judge, you know, said, you know, if he were still alive, then he would have been charged and indicted for the murder and kidnapping and murder of Adam Walsh. So that is who John Walsh always suspected him being the killer anyway, since pretty much early on, since his confessions. Because this is what Otis Toole said that happened, okay? He took Adam by luring him to his car by, you know, hey, yeah, I got toys, candy, puppy, whatever. Anything to get the boy into his car. And he drove off. And of course, I think, if I'm looking at maps, that Hollywood Mall at Sears wasn't too far from the interstate. So he jumped on the interstate and drove. Well, by then, Adam is having a fit. He's crying, he's screaming, he's making a ruckus. Well, guess what? This right here. Bam! Otis Toole punched him in the face, knocked him out. Then he was able to pull over and kill Adam. Her, asphyxiation, strangle him, and cut off his head, discard his body. He kept his head for a while because, well, cover your ears if you have any kids. Tell them to leave the room because Otis Toole claims he used the head in a sexual way. To put it mildly, he raped the head. And, and then when it was done, he just threw it right behind him, and that's where that picture came from. That's the face imprint. Ew. But, you have all his confessions, and then he recants, so it's almost like, who do you believe? Did he really do it? Or, even on his deathbed, he still confessed to his niece that, like, yeah, he was the one that killed Adam. So, even though Jeffrey Dahmer was a suspect, it was Otis Toole. So, I think I watched it on YouTube, but I know it was on live. I think it was live on TV. Breaking news, Adam Walsh case solved 27 years later. They had a press conference. The Walshes were there. The Hollywood police were there. Even the Hollywood police apologized for their incompetence. All I'm saying is John Walsh is such a bigger person than me because I wouldn't accept the apology. I'm sorry. It's just, dude, I would have gone off. Maybe not on camera, but I would have gone off. It was just like, look, the evidence was right there in 1983. All you had to do is look at the photos. You could have solved my son's case in a few years versus 27. Do your job. It's not that hard. Just do it. At least, just don't write down leads and just toss them to the side and not look at them again. Anyway, that's one thing that just got me. It's just, there's a lead there, and they didn't even follow up on it. Just follow up. It may be nothing, but at least just go follow up on it. It won't take that long. Yeah, maybe just never know. That lead could have lead to other things. And of course, they were talking about, since Otis Toole drove a white Cadillac, as I said, at that time, I think the police were looking for a blue van, and that was what Jeffrey Dahmer was driving. Because people said, hey, we saw this guy pick up this boy and threw him into the van and took off. So then again, which one is true? Is it the white Cadillac or is it the blue van? Jeffrey Dahmer would have actually totally confessed if he actually did it. If you ask me. That's kind of what I'm gathering through other things I've kind of looked into, that if he did it, he would have confessed, because he was like, yeah, I did it. Because it was such a high-profile case, hey, why not put your name on it, right? Anyway, as I mentioned, back in 1981, the Walshes had to have a funeral with an empty casket. Since the case was open for all those years, Adam's head had to remain at the morgue. So, in 2008, his head was finally laid to rest. They were actually able to bury at least a part, the head of Adam. So, so now his head is no longer part of evidence. It's where it should be. Now, another thing, I think the total blame to me, the whole reason why Adam was outside of Sears. It's female security guard at Sears. what I just learned that their security guards, I think, were teenagers, so that makes it even worse. But the female security guard was the one, as Matthews kind of points out in the book or on the series, that she was the one that told the boys to leave. Whether you're a teenager or not, you should still know that's a little boy. He's got to have a parent around. Or if she was paying attention to, since it was right inside the door, and I'm quite sure that they walked right past that security guard, she probably would have realized that that boy did have a mother with him, someone that, was with a grown-up. So, to me, this is how I feel, and please, it's just, as I said in the beginning of the video, my expression, my opinions, it's her fault. What happened to Adam is her fault, the security guard's fault. If it wasn't for her kicking Adam out, he would not have been outside to begin with, and he would not have been kidnapped. So, my feelings towards her is not very good. I hope self-guilt got to her. That's all I'm saying. If she had a conscience. So, yeah. But, 38 years marks this July. And just days away, 38 years marks the anniversary of Adam Walsh. It's been almost 40 years, which is crazy, super crazy. But it's me moving to South Florida, not that far, not too far from Hollywood. I lived in Cooper City. Moved there in 82, and then 83 is this dude, who was arrested in Florida on his tool, murdering this dude. And as he murdered Adam, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, I'm just a year younger than Adam. So, darn. I walked to school in 3rd grade. I could have been kidnapped there. I rode my bike in 4th and 5th grade and 6th grade. But still, it's just... Anyway, different time, but still... It doesn't matter what time period it is, Adam Walsh in 81, and you have all these other people from 81 until now. How many are still missing? How many have been found, dead or alive? Not everyone could be Elizabeth Smart, to go what she went through, survive it, and go home. It could have turned out so much worse for her. So just like with Adam, at that time, I guess there was just, he had no option but to kill Adam. Otis had no option, I guess. With his low IQ, he didn't know what else to do, and punched him in the face, knocked him out, and that was it for... And here's the thing, y'all. Here's the thing. I think before John Walsh even made it to Sears that day, Adam was already dead. He was dead within less than an hour after he was turned up missing. So, it's not that all those volunteers wasted their time looking for Adam, but they just didn't know that he was already dead. Like, less than an hour, like 45 minutes. Boom. Dead. So, kidnapped, drove off, a little while later gone. So, it's just... I hate that. That's, So, John and Reve, they have 3 more kids now. Adam, of course, being the oldest. So I'm quite sure their kids, Megan, Callahan, and Hayden, all grew up listening to stories of Adam. I know Callahan, he works for the Justice Network with his dad. And he made his mission to help missing kids. He, I guess, uses inspiration from his older brother. Say, hey, I want to continue, for one thing, his dad's work, and then just, hey, he's a brother of a murdered child, whatever. So, Anyway, so around, I actually did watch Adam 83 movie not that long ago, just to kind of refresh my memory. Well, before I decided to do all these videos, I watched it. So I want to watch it again, because I know that John Walsh, he just tore up that hotel room when he found out that his head was found. But totally understandable, and hopefully that hotel he stayed at, since he was in the hotel business then, kind of let it go. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, hey, thanks for listening to me rant a little bit. But this was, about the police and their just lack of just their job, doing their job. I know probably being a cop isn't easy as I kind of made it out to be, or it should be. But if you have a lead, one of those leads could have definitely could have put some fire under that case in '83. So I don't know why it took that guy 10 years to wait in '91 with his tip, because he obviously knew way before then. He just waited. So anyway, yeah, whatever. Anyway, you like my new shirts? I got these shirts made. MVS Productions. I like it. So just comment. Don't yell at me too much about this video. I kind of did it on the spur of the moment. I did a little research, but I wanted to get it done, film done, by the 27th. So, and here, let's look at a picture of Mr. Adam, shall we? Let's see here if I can. Actually, no, they have pictures. Come on. See here. I'll just let you look at some pictures here from the book. So you see Adam, and then the $100,000 poster that they made. Different picture of Adam than his normal one. There's Sears. Y'all miss Sears? Oh, well, at least that type of shit. Anyway. We're not going to do that one. And then we have Otis Toole here. Otis Toole. Anyway, his letter to John Walsh pretty much say, hey, I did it. Dummy. That's his white Cadillac in the middle, and that's where they found the head. Top and bottom picture. Yeah. Machete, another subliminal pictures. Picture of like the outline of the machete there. Just kind of let you know. And then of course to give you another look of this one. I mean, you can definitely tell that's a face. And whether you want to believe it's Adam or not, that's, up to you. But, John and Reve, they're the parents. They would know their son inside and out, hopefully. And, yeah, they say that's him. So, but, yeah, I need to finish reading this book. This thing made me so mad that I literally, I almost threw it, I guess. I didn't throw it. I closed it and just put it down and like, made a face like, got so aggravated with the police. They're just asking stupid questions, and you watch video too of Otis Toole on YouTube saying, yes, I did it, no, I didn't. No, I didn't say that. He's recanting. He's going to spend the rest of his life in jail. Might as well just come clean now. Prison. But whatever. Just, if people would just do their job, it would make things just a little bit easier on people. Especially, for... But anyway, everyone knows what John Walsh does now. He just... His son kind of gave him the push to change careers, so there you go. Oh, and that house guest that they had in 1981, let's just say he and Reve, they were a little bit more than friends during his stay. She cheated on John with him. That's why I think the chief police wanted to pinpoint the disappearance on him. But that's just one thing. He was in too big of a rush to pinpoint on somebody, and no, you just don't do that. Do your job right, or just leave. Anyway, I'm about to make myself even really matter. So I gotta go. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. I know it's been a while since I've been on, but just give me a thumbs up. 2 thumbs up, man. Bye, guys.